You're listening to Cash Sass. I'm Lisa Marie, your go-to gal for all things money. As the Sassy Wealth Queen and the brains behind the Sassy Wealth Coach, I'm here to take you on a thrilling ride from the financial chaos to sassy
Welcome
and sexy
back, my
money.
sassy friend, to another episode of Cash and Sass podcast. My name is Lisa Marie. I am the Sassy Wealth Queen and the powerhouse behind this podcast, as well as Transcendent Wealth Company. And today I have with me a very good friend, and I've been waiting for this, Supriya Prasad, and she is an energy healer for entrepreneurs and businesses. And after years in corporate and social media marketing, she felt drawn to support clients in the spiritual and wellness space, working with yoga teachers, mindset coaches, and holistic business owners. Her approach is straightforward. She reads chakras in the 5D and helps clients align in their energy to manifest their ideal business and life. And inspired by her time on the beaches of Tulum, Mexico, which I've been to and I absolutely love, she created the Business Chakra System, a system that connects each chakra to a part of a business. She also guides people through the relationship chakra system framework to help them create healthier personal and professional relationships. Her practical and powerful techniques have made her a go-to coach for business owners who want real results. And today, as y'all know, what we're going to talk about is everything and anything to do with money, because this is what we have, is candid conversations. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited. We finally got to do this. We've been trying to do this for a little while. So I want us to go in and just talk about how you determined you had a money story, and then how that even related to the chakras.
Oh my God. Yeah. So let's go back. Yeah. So how did I determine I had a money story? So there's a lot of things that's kept coming up in my life when it comes to money and when it comes to certain thought patterns. The need, and I know you've talked about this on your show before, it's like there are certain patterns, like the need to always go after money, the need to always, have not having enough, the lack mentality, not lack
Mhm.
the lack mentality, not having enough, and all of that. Um, because growing up, money was a struggle. It was a struggle. My parents were first, they were immigrants coming from India, and my dad in particular was very poor growing up. So, yeah, there was a lot of that going on. He never healed his money story at all, at all. So, it was always push, 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 and I inherited a lot of those traits, like the push, 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 and all of that stuff. And I didn't know, like, I was doing it up until I started learning about the law of attraction, really. And this was what, 2017, 2018. So when I first started getting into the law of attraction, I was just like, oh gosh, why isn't this whole thing working? Turns out that I was still thinking a lot of those same thoughts um, that came up in my head from when I was a kid. For even when I was a kid, you gotta say, it's like you gotta hoard your money. You gotta hoard your money because you don't know when it's going to.
Right.
And I'm saving. I do feel like everybody needs to save, and I think you would agree. Like feel like, but there was a sense of it wasn't a good thing to spend money. Spending money wasn't a good thing. You always have to save it because you don't know when you had it. And it
Mhm.
actually it's funny because this didn't go just into money. It went into things like food.
Mhm.
My parents Growing up, my parents actually, well, my mom, she made way more than like she would constantly make like 3 times the amount of food. And I see my dad even today doing the same thing, making so much food. And it wasn't until I actually went to a coach that I didn't realize that it really was a mindset thing, a childhood mindset thing, because growing up, he didn't have that much food, right? Growing up, he didn't have that much food. And growing up, he didn't have, so it was super important for him to, or his parents, to really like cook pretty much a lot of the stuff at once, so you
Mhm.
always had enough. So it's the lack mindset, it's the scarcity mindset, that I figured out that I had, and healing it was another thing. And I think there's still a healing thing there. But
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I mean that's something that's gonna what I tell people is not just the healing, but the work is gonna be every day, right? That
Mhm.
it's not something that goes away. I mean, I work on mine to this day, and I make it as part of the practice, right? Because that's the only way that you're going to be able to keep moving forward. And I think it's important that you made a comment about saving, how it was to the extreme. And if you've listened to my show, all of you know that I say that there are two extremes. You've got where you spend, 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 spend. You have no idea what's going on with your money. It's like it just disappears. Then you've got the other extreme where you basically become hoarding it to where you're petrified to spend it, because if you spend it, what the hell's going to happen if all of a sudden you need it and it's not there? And those are two extremes because they're both unhealthy. And the reason why is because, yes, when you die, you cannot take the money with you. That's not the reason. I know many people are going to say that, they're probably listening, and that's what they say, but that's not the reason. It's unhealthy because it's still a scarcity mindset. It's a lack mindset of, if I go to dinner, or if I go and buy myself this thing, or if I go and do this, and then I need the money, it's not there, then what? And so, what I teach my clients and what I work with my clients on and support them with is, let's find a happy medium that's aligned with your values, your goals, and your desires, and what it is you're wanting, so that it's not to either of those extremes. And 9 out of 10 times, like you said, there's healing that has to be, even if you've done the healing, realizing that you're still doing this,
Mm.
that's where the management of how you manage it comes in, and it's done differently. So you're all
Yeah.
about the chakras. So I want to get
Hmm.
into that, because I love how you've made, how you created it to where, um, when you were in Tulum, you came up with the business chakras and you were able to
Yeah.
connect it. So I want us to talk about that. One, how it connects to the business, and then more specifically how it connects to money. And we'll just go from there, because I have some things in my head that I want to ask, but I don't want to get too far ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No
how
worries.
how does that how does it relate?
Yeah, so when I can, when I got a download to do business chakras, I literally got the download for each
Hmm.
one. And I was just like, okay, let me just write all this down in a journal. And I literally had a webinar. I had a webinar scheduled, because I was doing social media freelancing and all that before, and I was like, let me do a LinkedIn webinar when I get back. And then I completely scratched it. I completely scratched it, and did all of this soon after. So what I got was, your energy is your business, and your business is your energy. Really, that was the whole point of the download. It was your business and your energy, and they do store, it's energy stores in these chakras. And when they store in these chakras, it can manifest as different things, and that's what they were telling me. They manifest as different things. So when things are like, your root, for example, if you have like your root chakra is your foundation. It's located at the base of your spine, and when you think at the base of your spine, you think of foundation, you think of like the actual roots of everything going on.
Hmm.
So it represents everything that would be going on in your business. And yes, in your life too. And like whenever I read chakras and heal the energy with people, I'm looking at them and like saying, okay, where in your life you feel like you're the most scared of, because there's a lot of fear when it comes to things. When I see a root chakra block, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of, guilt, and all that. So, and then I translate, I'm like, okay, so how's this relating to your business? Well, your revenue flows aren't coming in. So how are we going to fix all of that? And when I see, because I actually do see these things, it's quite wild what I see in like the 5D. And one day I'm going to have an artist depict what I actually see in these visions. But I do see a person's soul in the 5D, and these chakras in the 5D.
Mm-hmm.
When I see these chakras in the 5D, I see where their energy is lying within these chakras. And then I dive in deeper. I can go in deeper and actually see. I was like, okay, there's guilt here, there's shame here, there's all of these feelings. And this is translating into their business. It's transferring into their business. And it's affecting their way of making additional revenues, or it's affecting their revenue in general. It's
Mm-hmm.
affecting where they can possibly open up. So that's how all of this stuff gets translated into their business, and it relates to each and every single part. And if you've ever read The Body Keeps the Score, which is actually another book I actually recommend to people, The Body Keeps the Score, energy does store in your body, and it will remain in your body, those emotions and those feelings, until you address it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it goes back to, what we focus on, we create more of, right? So if
Mhm.
subconsciously in our body it's focused on the negativity and the lack and guilt and shame, then we subconsciously put those blocks there, right?
Yep.
And like you said, until we deal with it, the block can stay there and we may not even see it at first. I mean, I'm gonna be the
Mm.
first to tell you, y'all, there were some blocks last year that I didn't realize. Okay. And when it came up and it came to me, I was like, no, I don't have that. I don't need to deal with any of this anymore. I've already dealt with it. Yeah, no. I needed to go deeper because there was still something there. And what someone has told me is every time you're going to go up level, what's going to happen is you have to go even deeper, because the deeper you go, the more there's to heal, the more there is to work on. And that's what's going to allow you to be able to open up to the possibilities, which is what me and Supriya have already said. It's a never ending thing. It's
Mm.
something that you're not going to do just once. You're going to be quote unquote healed. You'll never have to work on the mindset or the um, the inside ever again. That's not how this works.
Mhm.
Sorry. It doesn't. Wish it does sometimes, but it doesn't. Um,
Yeah.
so when you're looking at, and see, I love the fact that it was roots, because I tell people all the time your money is your root of your business. How you're
Yep.
managing it is the root of your business. If you are not taking care of the root of your business, eventually your business is going to suffer, whether it's a week from now, 6 months from now, 6 years from now. If you're not managing it, taking care of it, having a relationship with your money, it is going to suffer, and it's going to affect your business, which means your business is going to suffer. So my question is in layman terms, help my listeners understand how they're able to work on that block or recognize that chakra and be able to actually, I don't know, do something about it, to be the steps
Mhm.
that they can do to move forward and not stay stuck.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that's kind of a loaded question, but I'm gonna try
I
to break
know.
it down. I'm gonna try to break it down for you. So there's a lot of things that people like would come up. So I do this live show on TikTok. I do this live show on TikTok, and almost every single time people ask me questions about money and the energy of money, and how can I make more, and am I going to make more? Is there going to be a financial windfall? And honestly, if you're asking yourself those questions, there is probably a block.
Block.
There is probably a block there, because if you're not in the mindset of abundance, you're in the mindset of lack. You're in the mindset of scarcity, because somebody who's abundant will always know it's coming. So that is one way you can actually tell.
They
Another
will always trust and know it's coming. May not know when, and they know it's
Mhm.
coming.
Yep. And another thing I don't really see people do a whole lot of, and when they can recognize that there's a block, is that they're not really taking the right action steps. And that was a big one for me. That was a huge one for me. I'm like, okay, I'm taking the right action steps. I'm like, no, 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 no. You kind of have to open up to the entire possibilities of what you and your business could be. Um, like every single possibility, it had all of these things, you have to have every single possibility. I'm like, okay, it may not be the coaching service, because this is exactly what happened to me, and this is exactly what happened to my TikTok. I It wasn't exactly my coaching, but it was my TikTok that actually led everything. So going to where you are naturally led to, and naturally drawn to, on how to, and with those action steps. So that's another thing, going to where getting those action steps and being inspired. And that's why, my coach calls it like inspired action, right?
Hmm.
Taking inspired action, and not like action steps that, other people tell you to take, because honestly, sometimes that doesn't work. It doesn't really work for a whole lot of people. It works for that specific person and those people that resonate with that, but you may not resonate with those specific action steps.
Right.
You need to do the things that resonate to you. And for me, it was TikTok. It was TikTok and going lives, and answering questions and doing yes no readings, and reading people's chakras from there. It was that. It doesn't have to be that way for you. So going to what is drawn to you and taking that inspired action, and opening yourself up to that process. And then when you start to clear that block, I always say root chakra, connecting yourself with the roots of the earth, is also a huge thing on healing your chakras too. The lower chakras in particular, but in particular the root. And I always say, connect with either a tree, or connect with either the grass on the ground, or I actually did some grounding while it was raining. I actually put a raincoat on, and I actually connected with the grass while it's raining. And obviously, I don't recommend this to everybody, because you could catch a serious cold by doing that. I made sure I was out of the way and everything, but it was actually probably one of the best things you can do for yourself, because what does rain do? Rain cleanses, and when you have your bare feet into the grass and in the ground, it actually does send all of these signals up to your body, including things like your root. And combining that with affirmations and the root chakra meditation, um that actually helps in bring in more abundance, and everything else that you'd want happen in your life. I also say, on top of that, making sure the environment you live in is actually a good place for you to create that growth. Because if you I'm and sometimes you might need to change your environment, sometimes you might need to change like where you are around you. I would say about, like, it's kind of like 80/20. Making sure you're changing your inner environment is the 80%, but making sure to change the outer environment, and making sure you have people that actively support you, because I have seen this over and over again. If you're having people that don't actively support you and don't actively want to see you grow, that's actually going to affect your inner environment a lot. So
Yep.
making sure, but also at the same time, making sure you are transmuting it and affecting you. But if you are a beginner in this, making sure that you actually do have people support you. And also at the same time, making sure that you're protecting yourself, putting that inner bubble around you, so you can actively work on your chakras as well.
Yeah, I love the inspired action because, so often people think that they can just manifest by just saying it, and then
Yeah.
and I'm like, no. Um, so it's that active manifestation. So that inspired action that you're taking is what's going to actually help and lead you to, um, into what you're wanting. And so, sometimes I have to remind myself, okay, I took action, but was it actually the action I needed to be taking,
Yeah.
right? Was I just
Mhm.
moving to move, or was I just doing things to check off my checklist? Because sometimes we get into the business where we're working so much in it, we forget
Yes.
to work on it, which also includes on ourselves. And
Mhm.
when you take a step back and you look, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I was just checking off the checklist. So then what I do is each morning I will decide anywhere between 1 to 3 things, okay? Depending on my
Yeah.
day, it might be 1. Depending on another day, it might be 2 or 3. Just depends on the day. Because again, I have clients, I have client work, so sometimes it might just be 1. But I decide and I list the 1 to 3 things that's I'm gonna work on myself, on my business, right? And put that at the top of the list so it is on the list, so we don't just get going and forget. And then at the end of the day, I'm able to reflect and say, okay, did I take that inspired action? You know what I mean? How I felt about it, how and work that way because that also calms me from the day and it's my way of digressing.
Yep.
And then if something happened, we've talked about this, Supriya. I was told to, because if I get in my head, I'm not going to journal. So I move, I dance, and then I go and journal. And moving gets that shit out of me. Okay. So it doesn't stay in
Yes.
the body, in the head, in the chakras. Move. I don't care if it's in a pillow, just move, get it out. And I have found that that helps me stay clear in that and be able to focus on, that abundance and stay in that abundance and not, what my coach said is there will be times where you will find yourself in that lack. It's not going to go away. When
Mhm.
you find yourself in there, and the important part, recognizing it and then getting out. Like
Yes.
feel the emotion, feel it, and then move, right? And not
Yes.
staying stuck in there. And a long time ago, or not so long time ago, I would stay stuck
Yep.
longer than necessary. And I think Supriya, you're the same way, right? And so that's the
Yeah.
key. And so, if chakras are new to you, that by the way, they were new to me when I met her, but it made sense because I money is energy, and the way it's a tool and it's energy, and that's what these are. And so it just connected. And I want people to realize that the way you're treating your temple, your body, the way you think about things, it affects everything. It's all
Yeah.
connected. Whether we realize it
Mhm.
or not, it's all connected. And science has proven that. And the chakras, I mean, when you go and look and do the history and research it, it proves it. It's all connected. And that's what I love
Mhm.
about it. Um, what is something that you work with a business person,
Mhm.
coach, service provider, whoever, and you see that they have that block, what's one thing, just simple, so that they see what can happen? What's one thing that you do with them that you don't mind sharing that helps them move from that and be able to clear the block?
Yeah, so a lot of times, I mean, we just talked about it, right? Lack mentality. A lot of like, because when I hear people saying, "Gosh," I had one client, um, she was like, "I can't like, I don't know what's happening, but I can't like, I just can't make money right now. I just can't make money." So, like, of course, I go into read her energy. I go into her chakras. I read her energy, and I'm like, okay, so this is what's happening. I'm seeing like a scarcity block. I'm seeing this. I'm seeing a scarcity block in here. I'm seeing this all this block, but I'm also seeing some generational things happening, and that's kind of the dark like pattern I saw on her chakras. And I'm like, there is also a generational thing. So what I do is I actually clear that. I do energy healing, I clear that. But then I'll also get a download on which type of like meditation would work for her. So I actually create custom. I actually create like a customized meditation for her. But I tell them to work with your root, like literally like rub your hands like this, and then rub your hands, rub your palms together. Go, because that will activate. Because by the way, there's chakras in your hands too. There isn't just the seven. There's over 150, and there's chakras in your hands. And you activate those two chakras in your hands. Put them right onto your root, the base of your spine, into your pelvis, and then breathing in, going in, and taking a few, doing some box breathing, taking 4 deep breaths in, holding for 4 breaths, and then releasing, exhaling. And then do that for 4 rounds. And then at the fourth round, imagine a white light hitting straight from the sky, like imagining that it's like the purest of white light. um, Imagining that hitting straight to your root, from your, it's illuminating your crown and then going straight to your root, and then inhaling that white light in, and then as you exhale, you're breathing out and you see that dark smoke come out of you. All of that dark smoke, you're breathing that out. And then once you do that, I actually have told people, imagining, and then like at the second round, imagining that gold coins. And I don't know if you are familiar with the goddess Lakshmi a lot, but if you're not, Lakshmi is a Hindu goddess, and she actually has and she's known as the abundance, the goddess of abundance in Hinduism. um my mom used to pray to her actually every single day. What I do is I imagine like gold coins similar to the goddess Lakshmi, that she pours straight from the sky, coming from that beam of white light, and and inhaling that in straight to your root chakra, going straight into your root chakra, and just inhaling and imagining what that abundance feels like in your body, what that abundance feels like. And then really staying there, I would say for at least 10 to 15 minutes, at least staying there for 10 to 15 minutes in that vibration. And then as you exhale, imagine that dark smoke coming out of you. And then I actually tell people, like, imagine it getting transmuted into white light again. That dark smoke getting, imagining
Mhm.
that transmute. And then once that happens, I tell them, what did you get? Because there was something that you definitely got, from that whole thing, because it's different for everybody. It is different for
Right.
everybody. It is different for everybody. I would say, like, most people get like release this, release that, like having that. And then once you got your message, you should be able you should be able to get steps off of that. And then what I would tell them to do is, like, really sit with that for, like, do that for a week. And then sit with that for a week, and then slowly start to take those action steps right after. Action steps meaning, action steps meaning whatever you allow the universe to come to you, whatever. And then that's when you do in your meditation, that's also what you should ask. I allow, however abundance wants to come to me. However
Mhm.
abundance wants to come to me, I allow it. I'm not going to restrict it. And then
Right.
that girl, she literally manifested, I'm not lying, like, she literally manifested like $10,000, like, like soon after that whole thing. So,
Yeah, it's really cool because it's funny, but when we release those blocks, you're especially when you allow it to come however it's going to come.
mhm,
Meaning you don't care how it comes, right? You don't care if it comes in this form or that form, and releasing that control um,
mhm,
opens yourself up to so many doors that you just didn't realize, right? And
mhm.
I think that that's really important. You have a free offer for my listeners, and I would like you to share that with them, please.
Yes. So I do have like a free course. It's called Switch the Energy of Your Business. And it's really all a training on the chakras in and of itself, the names. So by the way, root chakra is known as Muladhara chakra. Muladhara chakra, by the way, chakra also means wheel. Muladhara chakra is also the seed chakra. So it's the root is the stability. So yeah, and then there's 7, and there's actually a lot more out there. There's like 13, and the 13 of 14. The person who attuned me into Reiki, she actually works with the 14 chakras in the body, and it's all outer. But the main 7 that are in your body is are the ones that I work with. And yeah, like Muladhara chakra would be something that I would talk about, and talking about abundance. And I actually go through the meditations that you should do for each one in those.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be signing up for it because again, I love learning things and I like having different tools in my tool belt. I have learned to have different tools in my tool belt because sometimes one tool will be great and just what you need, and another time that tool's not what you need. You need another one. Um, and for my sassy listeners, what I want you to get from this today with me and Supriya is just realizing that there's more to it than the blocks and what you see, and there's a reason behind that lack, there's a reason behind having that block, and it's part of your story, and being able to clear that chakra, clear that block is going to actually help you be able to stay in more in the abundance than there is in the lack. And and remember what she said, which I absolutely love, your root, right? That's everything that's going on in your business, right? So your business is your energy and your energy is your business. I wrote that down because I'm going to remember that. And then taking inspired action. Those are like the 3 important things that I think is just truly, truly important is to remember and then say, okay, how can I take this and move more into the abundance so that I am taking inspired action and I am bringing in more money. I'm manifesting and I'm living the life I want to live, right? And I think that that's just um those are just some small steps to the powerful techniques that Supriya offers that can actually help you. And I just think it's really, really important because everything affects the money and money affects everything. And anytime someone says it doesn't, they're lying because everything I have seen, it does. Um, so I want my sassy listeners to walk away with that. Supriya, thank you so much for being a guest
Thank
on my
you.
show. We finally made it happen. We've been
Yeah.
trying for months.
Yeah.
um, so
Yeah.
truly, truly appreciate it. And if there's one thing you want my listeners to walk away with before we close, what would that be?
Just remember that you are never too old, you are never too late to start healing. I mean, I think there's a lot of limiting blocks that people have, like, oh, I can't do it, I don't have the time, I don't have the space, I don't have the money, and all of those things. There's a ton my I have a lot of free resources, and by the way, another one, if you don't mind,
Mhm.
if you don't mind, Lisa, I actually will, because I'm on this, I just thought of this. I can actually do a free business chakra diagnosis, call, with anybody that really wants it and that really wants to see where their chakras are at, as well. So I do have free resources. That's another one that I can do. Um, for anybody, but I also have my free course, and I also, and there's also a lot not in mine and not including mine, as well. And a lot of people think that they can't, that they're already too late in the process. I don't know how to my mindset. My mindset is like all wrong and everything, and I just don't know, and I give up. And I give up on the whole process. No, there's a lot of things you can do. There's a lot of books you can read. I think I gave one, The Body Keeps the Score. And there's also another one, Healing the Wounded Child, as well. So those are a couple books you can have. And of course, there's a ton of different ways. Your chakras you can always balance them. You can always balance them on your own. And of course, if you do want to get that fast track as well, you can go to a healer. You could go to a healer like me as well.
Yeah, and I think that's really important is realizing that it's never too late. Y'all, people used to think it was too late, that if once you're in your 40s or 50s, it was too late to start running a business. I didn't start my business until I was 43, and I've now had
Mhm.
it for 8 years. So you do the math.
Yeah.
It's not, you're never, and I didn't start healing and getting into shape, by the way, until a year after that. So I was like 44, 45 when I started all of that stuff. So it's never too late. And I used to think the same thing. And it's not. And it's still something I work on. And I think it's really important, which is the reason why I have this podcast, is because I think, okay, we need to kick money taboo to the curb. We need to kick it, and like kick it hard, because I think it's just really that important. So thank you very, very much. I am going to make sure that her other offer is in the show notes as well. So you'll be able to find that and the link for the other thing in there. And remember, until next time, yes, money can be sassy and sexy. And go build your wealth. It's never too late. See you next time. Bye.
Thanks for joining us this week on Cash and Sass. Check us out on social media and on our website at www.thesassywealthcoach.com, where you can download my free Money Story Start Guide. The website again is www.thesassywealthcoach.com. And as always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh content. And remember, yes, it is possible to have sassy and sexy money. See you next week.